Yeah, there I am in my hat in my high school yearbook. When I listen to Michael Peterson sing Old Army Hat, I reminisce about my own old Army hat. I don't know from where the hat came. However, when I was growing up, it was almost always a part of me. I wore it during endless hours of pitching a softball against the spot on the retaining wall that separated my yard from the neighbors. I wore it to every softball practice, and I would have worn it in the games too, if it had been allowed. I wore it in the mountains, hiking, and when we were clearing our land. I remember putting it on my little sister. She was 4, I was 10. I often wore it with the brim turned up, and one day my mom told me that I reminded her of her dad because he used to wear his hat that way. I didn't know much about my grandparents, only that they had died long before I was born. I wore my hat with much more pride after that. This embarrassed my siblings, but somehow wearing my hat gave me a feeling that I was connected to the grandpa I never knew. So much so that it may have helped to save my life. When I was 14, I almost lost my much-loved hat. It was my first whitewater raft trip, and as we paddled through a rapid, I was swept off the back and sucked right underneath the raft. We didn't wear helmets back then, so there was nothing holding my hat on my head. As I pulled myself out from underneath the raft, all I could think of was, I lost my favorite hat. Now the guide, he knew the peril I was in, and he told me of the fear that went through him as he felt me under his feet. He continued to tell me of the danger, but I wasn't grasping it. I was still upset about losing my hat. I must have complained because the guide pointed with his paddle to something on the floor of the raft. It was my hat! What were the chances? Talk about being literally swept out from underneath your hat. Now, as I think back on this, I realized that since my mind was on my hat that day, I didn't panic. I didn't even consider myself in distress. So I was able to quickly maneuver myself out from underneath a potentially life-threatening situation. Yeah, it is plausible that my hat did help save my life. Now, not everyone understands, but Michael Peterson's song reinforces something that I have always thought. There is just something extra special about an old Army hat.